Now, when I say Bitcoin is hope, I mean Bitcoin is digital energy. And if you want to send energy at the speed of light from here to halfway around the earth to save the life or solve the problem of another human being or corporation, you're going to need digital energy. Here's what I tell everybody. I expect Bitcoin to go up 29% a year on average for the next 21 years. I'm expecting $21 million Bitcoin in 21 years. So I expect Bitcoin to appreciate 21% a year thereafter. Now, in the year 2025, we have consensus that Bitcoin is digital gold. The CNBC talking heads agree on it. Everyone in the crypto economy agrees Bitcoin is the monetary foundation. It's digital gold.
For the first time, Bitcoin isn't just an exotic experiment. It's now being weighed by institutions, governments, and corporate treasuries. With the price hovering around $110,000 in recent weeks, showing resilience even as gold and other safe havens surge, Bitcoin is behaving less like an unruly wildcard and more like a macro asset under active evaluation. More than ever, the pressures are mounting. Inflation remains sticky. National debt is stacked. Central banks are juggling rate cuts and currency stability. And in the background, Bitcoin's supply is finite, while institutional demand is being quietly built. That means we're not just looking at a price jump, but a structural shift. Few people have captured that shift more clearly than Michael Saylor, the executive who transformed MicroStrategy into a modern-day vault for digital wealth. To Saylor, Bitcoin isn't speculation. It's digital energy, the next leap forward in humanity's relationship with technology and capital. Just as fire, oil, and electricity powered each great industrial age, Bitcoin, he says, will define the digital age of value. And the signs are everywhere. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF continues to pull in billions in inflows. Corporations are beginning to allocate treasury reserves. Even sovereign wealth funds and governments are quietly exploring Bitcoin as fiat currencies weaken and debt spirals higher. The question is no longer, should we own Bitcoin? It's becoming, can we afford not to? Because the old system, drowning in $320 trillion of global debt, is losing credibility fast. And Bitcoin's finite supply of 21 million coins is starting to look less like volatility and more like discipline. Saylor argues this isn't just another cycle. It's a paradigm shift. The rise of digital property as the foundation of a new financial world, one that could redefine how nations, companies, and individuals store energy, preserve wealth, and secure freedom itself. Stick around until the end as we break down how corporate treasuries, nation-states, and investors are converging on Bitcoin, and why this transformation is only just beginning. Also guys, if you like our cryptocurrency content, please remember to like and subscribe to stay up to date. Now, let's hear Michael's thoughts.
Well, if we look at the history of humanity, what has improved the human condition is technology. And the most formative technology that everybody's familiar with is fire. And fire, once upon a time, was hope. If you didn't have fire, you're going to freeze to death or starve to death. And then over time, other important technologies evolved. After fire, we mastered metals, and there was the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, the Steel Age. You know, the wheel was a pretty important technology. No wheel, no cars. Rockefeller commercialized chemical energy in the form of oil and standardized oil and called this company Standard Oil. And the real significance of oil was the humans got 1/10 of a horsepower. And now the little dinky engine on the back of your small trawler boat is 70 horsepower, which is 700 human beings. And a typical tender could have 1,000 horsepower. And so think about 10,000 people rowing as hard as they can behind a 30-foot boat. And that's what we got when we got oil and when we got internal combustion engines. And so the hope for humanity has always been technology in a new sphere of influence, whether it's automobiles or airplanes or electricity or oil or fire. Bitcoin is hope because Bitcoin represents digital energy. It represents energy in cyberspace. It represents digital property, digital capital, digital gold. But in its most profound setting, it means digital energy, a way to convey energy through time, through space, that is life-affirming for 8 billion people, for 400 million corporations, for millions and millions of institutions, for hundreds of countries, for tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of municipalities. And if I were to say fire is hope, and you were shivering and freezing to death, you would get it. And if I were to say electricity is hope, and you were in New York City trapped on the 98th floor of a skyscraper or trying to get up to the 98th floor of a skyscraper, you would get it. And now when I say Bitcoin is hope, I mean Bitcoin is digital energy. And if you want to send energy at the speed of light from here to halfway around the earth to save the life or solve the problem of another human being or corporation, you're going to need digital energy. And so it represents the next paradigm shift, the next manifestation in the story of energy and the story of human beings harnessing energy in order to improve the quality of their lives.
Bitcoin's story has always been turbulent, and that turbulence, as Michael Saylor explains, is part of its evolution. Just as an aircraft breaks the sound barrier with a thunderous boom, Bitcoin is moving faster than society can fully digest. Each wave of adoption, from retail investors to institutions, creates shockwaves of confusion, criticism, and disbelief. Over the years, the pattern never changed. Dismissed in 2011, doubted in 2017, ridiculed again in 2021. Yet today, with Bitcoin hovering near $110,000 and ETF inflows crossing $20 billion this year, the so-called experiment is rewriting financial orthodoxy. Even after the price swings, long-term accumulation continues, led quietly by BlackRock, Fidelity, and corporate treasuries reshaping how capital is stored. Saylor draws a striking comparison. Every great innovation, from electricity to nuclear power, faced decades of resistance before acceptance. It's not that people hate progress. It's that old systems defend themselves until they fade away. As Max Planck said, science advances one funeral at a time. And in this era, those funerals are institutional. Legacy finance, slow to adapt, is yielding to a generation that understands digital energy, a form of capital immune to borders, inflation, and censorship. Recent events prove his point. AI data centers now depend on nuclear power just to keep up. El Salvador keeps expanding national Bitcoin reserves. And corporate giants are quietly experimenting with on-chain balance sheets. Each moment marks a turning point, where energy, money, and intelligence begin to converge. Saylor's message is clear. Paradigm shifts aren't approved, they're inevitable. And while 95% of financial leaders still don't grasp digital capital, that's precisely where the opportunity lies. Because the next decade will belong to those who see the truth before the old guard can explain it.
You know, I think when an airfoil moves faster than the speed of sound, like an airplane goes faster than the speed of sound, it creates a shock wave and a sonic boom. And it's very loud, it's very noisy, it's very turbulent. And what's going on when you're going faster than the speed of sound is you're going faster than the rate at which air can communicate to the air in front of it, right? The molecules in front of your fuselage are not able to communicate to the molecules 100 meters in front of you. So you end up with this sonic boom and massive turbulence and massive noise and chaos. What's going on with Bitcoin is evolving faster than a society can digest it. And so I think you could say this is all consistent. Bitcoin was misunderstood in the year 2011. It was misunderstood by me in the year 2013. It was misunderstood again in 2015, 2017, 2019, 2021. When we first got into the space in 2020, there were people that misunderstood it, and we had a massive amount of criticism, when our stock was $10 a share. When our stock went to $100 a share, it was massive amount of criticism again. When it crashed to $20 a share, there was still massive criticism. When we had $2 billion of Bitcoin, people were cackling, or $1 billion, saying, oh, you lost $1 billion on this. When we made $100 billion, everybody disappeared and slunk into the shadows. And then a new set of trolls, a new set of critics came out when our market cap went above $100 billion. It's a different set of cynics, a different set of critics, a different set of misconceptions. I think you're going to see the ebb and flow of that set of misconceptions and that anxiety. It'll continue when Bitcoin is 100,000. It'll continue when Bitcoin is 1 million. It'll continue when Bitcoin is 10 million. It'll continue when Bitcoin goes to 20 million. And there's always going to be a new narrative of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It'll be a different generation. You know, the people that used to laugh and say, oh yeah, you lost $1 billion trading in Bitcoin, they're gone. They disappeared, right? There'll be a new generation of people that say, do you think it makes sense to buy Bitcoin at $1 million a coin? It's going to trade down to 500,000, right? And then there'll be a set of people that will say, you're buying it at 10 million a coin, it's going to trade to 6 million, you moron, you lost so much money. This is how societies deal with new ideas. If you study paradigm shifts, how long did it take to embrace electricity? How long did people thought John D. Rockefeller was crazy for 30 years until he was the richest man in the world. And then and at the point that he was the richest man in the world, people thought, well, that trade is done. And that was just when they invented the automobile and he got 10 times richer, right? And so the society doesn't really deal with paradigm shifts that well in near term, but after 30, 40, 50 years, you look back and you say, well, of course we should have embraced the fire, the electricity, the wheel, the crude oil, the nuclear, even nuclear power right now, for example. Nuclear power has only become cool or useful in the last 2 years. Okay, so for 50 years, people thought nuclear power was an awful thing, and all of a sudden they woke up and they realized that I guess we need nuclear energy to power the AI data centers to make us super intelligent, and if we don't turn it on, we're going to be slow and stupid. So, if it took them 50 years, by the way, nuclear power is like unlimited, clean, free energy, and they had to fight for 60 years to get people to embrace the idea of unlimited clean energy. It doesn't surprise me that there'll be skeptics about digital energy. They won't get it. Max Planck said, science advances one funeral at a time. And what he meant was the old guard, they will never, ever accept a new idea. Whatever it is, they'll die. They will not accept a new idea. The only way you get people to accept a new idea is you wait for a new generation of decision makers, and the old guard retires and they age out. Or you need a war. And people that don't believe in aircraft, but start believing in aircraft when the aircraft flies over their city and drops a bomb on their head. And people that don't believe in atomic energy start believing in atomic energy if someone sets off a nuclear warhead in the middle of a war. And so I think that disruptive, profound events like a near-death experience like during COVID, I think that introduces new ideas and new paradigms. That's how we got introduced into this space. It was the war on currency and the war on COVID in 2020 that caused us to open our eyes and embrace the new idea. I would say 95% of the decision makers in the finance world still don't really embrace or understand the idea of digital energy, digital capital, digital money. And I don't think it's a bad thing, because the only way you're going to make 10 to 100x your money is if you pick the right thing and everybody disagrees with you. Yeah. If everybody agrees with you and you do the right thing, well, everybody agreed you should buy Amazon in the year 2020 during the lockdowns because it was quite obvious that you needed Amazon during the lockdowns. it's the worst investment of the past 5 years because everybody agreed that it was a good investment, and there's a lesson in that.
Bitcoin's evolution isn't waiting for permission. It's unfolding in real time. What once seemed like a speculative rebellion is now a structural transformation of the global financial system. Michael Saylor's vision ties it together. Every leap in human progress, fire, electricity, oil, and nuclear power, began as chaos before it became order. Each was resisted, misunderstood, and eventually inevitable. Today, Bitcoin stands in that same lineage, the next form of digital energy, expanding faster than institutions, governments, and markets can keep up. While the old world wrestles with record debt, currency debasement, and political gridlock, the new one is quietly taking shape. One ETF approval, one corporate balance sheet, one nation-state at a time. BlackRock's inflows, El Salvador's policy experiments, and the growing chorus of institutional adoption aren't random. They're signals of a new monetary reality forming beneath the noise. The turbulence, as Saylor says, is just the sound of a paradigm breaking the speed of sound. And when the dust settles, this isn't just a market cycle. It's a generational shift in how humanity stores energy, wealth, and freedom itself. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments section below.